Hey everybody, it's your pal Drew, back sooner than expected. I just had some more books I wanted to share from my spinner rack. Let's jump ahead. Marvel Fanfare started off with some great stuff with Michael Golden, Paul Smith, Chris Claremont, and Dave Cockrum. Sorry about that, Mr. Cockrum. And then there was a while where the book kind of became filler. Like they used like the very first Rick Leonardi story ever. A lot of it was inventory stuff. I liked it. I didn't mind it that much, but later on there was some original stuff that like issue 15 with Barry Windsor Smith. Sorry, I said it wrong. Betty Windsor Smith. I heard him talk in an interview. He doesn't talk like that. I'm just being pretentious and silly. Hopefully funny. So Charles Vess was one of these guys who came up in Marvel in the early 80s and did a lot of stuff for Marvel. And he's from that school. For one thing, let me start. He did this great graphic novel called The Raven Banner. And it was about Asgard, a character in Asgard. Nothing to do with Thor. It was just a beautiful story, and apparently Charles Vess doesn't have, has more to say, because I think this came out later. I'm not sure, but yeah, Marvel Fanfare was hit or miss at times. So beautiful, beautiful work. He did a lot of covers as well, and did he write this? I can't recall. I'll have to look. He might have, because I think he did the Raven. No, Alan Zeneliz. Who did, I think, some Batman work as well as the Raven Banner. Really great stuff. Just really charming. Like a fairy tale, but in the best possible way. I mean, it's not silly. It's just magical. I mean, look at the rendering on those ravens. That's just amazing stuff. Yep. John Workman, of course, doing his magic. Hand lettering. And now here, I wanted to address something I thought was really cool. Like, I see the guy in the middle with the nose and the lady with the nose, like the little knob there, the little lighting effect. I call that the P. Craig Russell effect. To my knowledge, in mainstream comics, he was the first one to really do these little nuanced images on people's noses, and it was tricky because if you do it wrong, it becomes super bulbous and it looks wrong. But so many great artists like George Freeman, Charles Vess, Sandy Plunkett, Craig Hamilton, and then later on more mainstream creators started using it, like Jim Lee. And as soon as Jim Lee did it, all the other imitators and fellow image artists later on adopted that style where everybody had a little shine on their schnoz. But stuff's so elegant. Elegant? I think it's elegant. So really beautiful stuff. I'd love to see all this collected, because he did some other stuff too. With the Raven Banner would be great. So much. I mean, you just know he just is in touch with childlike wonderment and incredible imagery that just holds him fast, and he's got to get it down. Look at that. And I don't know what he's done recently, but that's not important. What's important is he does fantastic work. There's Thor. Now that is Thor summoning the rain. Look at that. It's so baroque. It's so powerful. He's blowing his cape around while he's trying to stop while he's using the storm. Oh my goodness. Excuse me. I had a hiccup. My apologies. So, and the back, but I'm going to skip the ending of it. And I'm going to get to the backup feature, which is, it's written and drawn by future superstar, the late Norm Brayfogle, who would make his mark on Batman in the late 80s, and a lot of other stuff in the meantime. And he wrote this, and Reed's trying to come up with some gadget to help truncate time so he could do a lot more experiments and stop blowing off events with Sue and the family and all that, and Johnny's giving him that warning. I don't know. So she's pissed off, Mrs. Richards, and we'll call her Sue. We'll be informal. This is back when She-Hulk and Wyatt Wingfoot were around. She was filling in for the Thing. So he thinks, so I can do my work and do my husbandly duties and my familiar duties. And he's popping up in different areas because he messed up. He wanted too much too soon, and it gets really funny, really screwy, and the artwork is exceptional. Yeah, 87, yeah. I think he'd be right on Batman shortly after this. Now, the Black Hood. You've probably seen, every $1 box, $2 box, or whatever has this copy. I don't know how many were printed, but I see this everywhere in back issues at so many stores. Red Circle, their imprint of Archie Comics, which has always sold really well in the newsstand, even with the changes that they've done with the times recently. I think they're still going strong, but they've had, excuse my language, but a lot of fans consider the characters turkeys. Like you have the Web, the Shield, the Bubble. Even though the Shield preceded Captain America by a few months back in the 40s, 1940 actually. It's a long story. But all those other characters that may have preceded Marvel, they were refined. And, sometimes if you do a good character and it's not a strong follow-through, then it could lose favor with the reading public. I know that sounds cruel, but that's the way it goes. Alex Toth, how about that, man? Stepping out and do some mainstream stuff. He does some Green Lantern stories around this time. Now, what's fascinating about this issue is, Black Hood was also one of the, the MLJ characters from the, they cobbled together all these characters. Now, here's the wild thing. Alex Toth, he's stark black lines, like there's no gray areas. And now you have Gray Morrow, who oddly enough uses gray tones. And even though that's gray zipatone, a lot of this is just his wispy brushing. He probably just, did a little dry brush on there. I love doing that kind of stuff. And, people like to be traced these days. And it's so weird because Gray Morrow, his stuff is so precious, and the line work is so tiny that almost any time his comics have been printed on regular paper, it's a massive disservice. But he still stuck with it for whatever reason. And in the early days, he didn't have much of a choice. But, you can see all these lines dropping off. I can't imagine, if they ever did a reprint of a lot of Gray Morrow's work, I can't imagine somebody trying to restore the artwork, because who knows where the artwork is, and, the originals don't necessarily show the quality. Good stuff, though. Really good stuff. I love that. That's nice. That's a little touch of Toth. And you know why? Because it saves you from having to draw all that stuff on a motorcycle. Same reason I love to draw Ghost Rider's ghost or his skull cycle. So a little stiff because it's photo reference. There's some, but it works. His stuff has such a charm to it that you don't mind, and his rendering is hard. It's so, I guess, it's very half-tone E. Tony, that's not the right word. Oh. This is an interesting choice there. He has the glass shattering, and except for the black background out the window, you could see through all the glass. And that's actually the way it would be for the most part. So there'd be some reflections, but then there'd be some you just see right through that made of steel returns. Steel Sterling. Sneaky SOBs trying to make us think it's Superman. Now you got this, I don't know where this came from or why, but it's a, I'm glad it's they're Doug Wildey, the legendary Doug Wildey. Stories written by Marv Channing. Get on the stick, Kramer. And it's really a bizarre story. And then we go into Black Hood, short story with Marv Channing with Robin Snyder, a close friend and publisher of Steve Ditko's work the last 30 years of his life. Art by Alamick Williams. He's a great artist who, frankly, I thought he wouldn't be around this time because he was an old timer, but I loved his inks. His inks were great. He inked an issue of Captain Marvel over Al Milgrom, and you would never have known it because he's one of those just great renderers. So Great Moore came up with some more stuff. This is back when Thunder Agents was being published by a little bit of everybody for legal reasons, and I finally caught up to this Mr. Miracle. I'd shown you the one that Marshall Rogers had done with Marshall Rogers and Steve Englehart, who would go on to do Batman. But here is some early Michael Golden, and he's really already, it's fantastic. I mean, I wasn't a DC reader at the time, but going back and finding this stuff is a super treat for me because he's already got things figured out. My only bugaboo is Darkseid was always drawn like a piece of rock, like a big chiseled thing, and now he's all smoothed out. But everybody but Kirby, they couldn't get him quite right until years later. Like even when Darkseid showed up in my favorite story about the Light and Darkness saga with the Legion of Superheroes, he was like a regular body. He wasn't broad chested. He was just like in tights. So I can forgive this on that because you got some sweet ass Golden inked by. Oh, Russ Heath, good lord. Wow. An up-and-coming master and an established master. A lot of stuff going on. It's just all there already. Amazing. This is cool. I love that. Cinnamon, Shazam, and Human Target. And the DC Explosion. This is shortly before they crashed and did the DC Implosion, unfortunately. But, they tried. Just the economy was crap. And they had all these extra books, and trying to flood the market, it just comes back and bites you in the ass. I love that effect. It's like, I guess he's using thumbprints. That face. One of those goldenisms that you'd see there. That face is so Michael Golden. I love that. That little line where her mouth meets her chin meets the bottom of her jaw. It's just great stuff. Oh yeah, and for a while they were reprinting 2 issues of the classic Len Wein, Barry Bernie writes and Swamp Thing. They did it was only 10 issues, so they did 5 specials that were double sized that covered those issues. So good stuff. Really good. Now I'm going total opposite here. You're gonna be like, oh gosh, the 90s. Good lord, look at that shiny cover for $2.95. It has shot up in value to where I paid $2 for it. And you know what's weird? I've always been an Iron Man fan. I've told you this a million times, and you know me. We talk about it all the time. So here's the thing, though. I happened upon this era because certain books, certain titles I have in my collection, I'm like, stop. I hit the brakes. Stop. I'm not going to get any more new stuff from this particular character because I feel like everything has been said, or the character's been a mess. And especially continuity is kind of out the door. So, nowadays, they treat them like miniseries, like the new Captain America or whatever book's coming out will be like a year long of this one creative team, and then they'll switch it around, or that kind of stuff. Whoop, I dropped my notes. I actually took notes on this only because this is a mouthful. Hold on. Well, I'll tell you what. A huge fan of the David Michelinie, Bob Layton Iron Man because they took him out of the doldrums where he was getting his ass kicked by Craven and Raga and all these really lame ass villains. And I love the Leighton McElhaney stuff so much, and well, I'd have to say after that, they laid the groundwork for a lot of stuff that Len Kaminsky and Kevin Hopgood would do in their stories. Steve Mitchell's inker, he inked the Rhodey issues of Iron Man in the 80s, which were pretty good. Well, what happened now is apparently Len Kaminsky, even this is 1993, I guess, he was a real tech head. Like, he really knew before all this Google stuff was going on. He kind of knew his shit about just about the technology of the time, and with a lot of his, maybe he had a computer job before. I don't know, but this actually goes back to the last time Leighton and McElhaney did Iron Man, where Iron Man got paralyzed. He got shot by his crazed girlfriend Kathy Dare, and right at the end of their run, they had him starting to walk again with help, and he's under the care of Dr. I can't think of her name, Sondheim, something like that, and she's been his personal assistant, a physician ever since, and she was also in the first Scott Lang Ant-Man story as well. So what happens is, sometime after he gets back on his feet, and they had several different creative teams kind of flittering by, and this is it's like a year and a half into the book at least. Actually more, because War Machine was issue 284 or something like that. So what happened is he got to walk again because Dr. Erica Sondheim, she uses this special chip implant so he could walk again gradually. However, these guys reveal, Len Kaminsky specifically, that the chip was, unbeknownst to Dr. Erica Sondheim, it contained a virus that was it was a neuro-organic virus that was eating at his body. His body was wearing down, through his neurons. So he's stuck in a hospital bed. I'm trying to figure out what to do. I really love this artwork too. And you can sort of see how Hopgood was partially influenced by Luke McDonald when he was doing Iron Man. And there's Rhodey. He came back from supposedly the dead, and Rhodey hasn't forgiven him because he's been tricked too. They had this whole funeral, and he was involved, and now he's really pissed at Tony. This goes on for quite a while, and it's not an irrational. It's not an it's an understandable response. He's like, why didn't you let me in on this? But so Abe Zimmerman comes by, who has been around. Gosh, he's been on and off the book a long time. Like, we're talking back to like the Bill Mantlo days or the Jerry Conway days. He got to learn that Tony Stark was Iron Man. Tony was upfront with him back when he still had when he had Secret Identity. And what happened is, Abe designs this virtual Iron Man suit. The neural access port wasn't designed with this sort of thing in mind. I've examined the specs. I'll hold up. Hope so. Erica will have my hide if you use this thing to fry yourself. So she doesn't even know about it. Tony likes to keep secrets. So look at all this cool ass shit. And it is cool. If you get a chance to read it, it's he goes, this time I don't use tools. This time I am the tools. My left arm is a graphic program. My right, an automated fabrication system. And, he's just watching it. He goes, it takes me longer. Plus a bad case of eye strain and a killer migraine. And this is a side story. Okay. These cardboard covers are hard to turn. There's no getting around to it. It's up to me and Iron Man. So here comes the new modular Iron Man. I have to say though, for a long time, I really didn't like this suit. I don't know why. I just didn't like it. But at the time, I wasn't reading Iron Man. I mean, I'm just such a weird ass fan that like if Bob Layton and David McElhaney spoiled the shit out of me. And then stuff after, I mean, when Denny O'Neil and Luke McDonald took over, I did enjoy it. I liked Rhodey filling in, but I hated what they did to Tony Stark. They make him go in the gutter, and it just seemed very, very heavy-handed in that aspect. And even Denny O'Neil says he went too long on that storyline. So, the sports card collection thing was heating up and was soon going to leave people with like binders and binders worth of useless cards. So he's like a virtual Iron Man now. I like that pose. It reminds me of some other pose, but yeah, it's really good, and I'm actually enjoying this era. In fact, I have the Epic collection that has this, and I may reread it again. This I don't mind as much. Like War Machine, I feel is so redundant. It's like, if you think it's going to be better with guns now, why wouldn't you have all your armor with guns? That seemed like that was more like a, hey, buy this book because everybody's got guns now. Everybody's got armor and they got guns and it's cool. So, KEWL, cool. But reading this run is just really enjoyable, and some more info. It's just so well informed, or just. It's like the kind of stuff that Elliot Brown would do. I think maybe he's helping out on this, but Len Kaminsky, he comes with the goods. He knows the stuff. And you know what? He does it in a good enough way that I'm not bored. So, I don't know diddly about computers, except to turn them on and off and maybe focus my comics on the camera. Got it. And with this, Bruce Timm, love letter to the early Avengers. Roger Stern. Yep. Another classic guy. If you want classic Marvel, you go to those two guys. This is 1.5. Issue 1 we all know of. Issue 2 is at the end with Space Phantom, and the Hulk leaves at the very end, which was very, very unusual for a superhero team at the time, for a founding member to like leave at the end of the second issue. That just showed you that Marvel was so innovative. That stuff just didn't happen anywhere else. I love this. Is very typical of these. Of these comics. You'll gasp at the identity of our mystery guest villain. Prepare to meet your doom. And they do that lots and lots. It's funny. So there's a Walter Cronkite type guy talking, and there's a whole really cheering. And what I love is, look at it, the throwback to like the Dick Ayers inked Jack Kirby version of the Hulk. And he's like, now they tell me I would never try to join the FF. Amazing Spider-Man 1. What if they're hiring? There's Doctor Doom. So, he's really getting his Kirby on. And what's great is that they're talking about how great the headquarters is. And this huge room is empty. But it's not unlike some of the comics back then because, the focus is on the characters. I've always loved the, like, water heater version of Iron Man. I just love that with the skirt. And, Hulk is kind of grousing with Thor. And see, now we're getting a little into the Bruce Timm style, which is good, but there are times later where I wish he'd have stayed a little more Kirby. But, man, he draws a great Wasp. And, he's doing his Kirby thing there. And this is a non-existent Kid Colt, number 112.5. By Paul Smith, pencil and ink by Paul Smith, right there. There's his, there's his signature right there. Beautiful stuff, beautiful. He's just amazing. And this was a real ad from back then, trying to show off their burgeoning group of superheroes. Let's go. So they get in a helicopter. I love how even Iron Man's strapped in. It's so adorable. And there it is. It's not quite the helicarrier, but it's impressive nonetheless for early Marvel. Got that Kirby biz going. And, she gets taken out, of course, because back then, the gal was always the one to get taken down first. Love that. Iron Man's about to take on Doom. There's an explosion. Now that is, I'll say it's pretty much a swipe from like a Jack Kirby early issue of Iron Man, inked by darn heck, how can I say that? Or it might have been all but I love it. It's like a great callback. I mean, I saw that and I was like, oh my god, that's so great. And so Iron Man's kind of, Ant-Man's kind of stuck what to do. They're stuck. Already stuck. So, Doom takes off this human mask and he's armored underneath, and that's a very, very Silver Age comic thing. Everyone's helpless, but I'm going to take me a pill and become Giant Man. The full story of Ant-Man's new identity is in Tales to Astonish 49. Because between issue 1 and 2, it was so wild because he was Ant-Man, then he was Giant Man in the second issue, and in the third issue, Iron Man had a new set of armor that did go designed with red and gold. So that's pretty funny. Blarf. Using the lightning to charge Iron Man's armor. Never mind that he probably more or less get fried by it. But that's, it was cool. It was a thing to do. I love that. I love me some old Iron Man. This is a Dick Ayers issue of 3.5. Nice. Love that. Gosh. I think that was... No, I'm wrong. I was thinking of something else. Now here, there's that's a very Kirby thing, and that sort of is, but the face it's getting a little too it's too Bruce Timm, and that's just me being rude. I know anything Bruce Timm does is great, but I've just thought, well, it's like 90% Kirby, but then all of a sudden, you get these cool looking faces that come from a cartoon. No, we're not running out on you. Hulk's like, I don't believe this. Shoves him in. That's great. That ejector, that's like a callback to Hulk #1. And there they go. There's a Kurt Busiek age 2 writing in Ty Templeton age 6. It's just so cool. And it has all the hype box stuff in the back. That's so great. I must have 3 or 4 copies of these because I bought 2 when they came out because I thought it was going to be like a hot book, and I just wanted it anyway, one to read and one just to put in my little file. But if I see these in like the $2 bin, I just grab them. I've got a couple of them, and then if somebody visits and they want to check it out, I just give it to them, and that's all. Hey, hope you liked what I had to share, and leave your comments and questions below. Anything I might have missed, or anything you think I was off base about and need to be slapped around a little bit. I'm open to anything because you don't have to. I'm not into it to fight on the comments board. It's all about the love of the comics art form, past, present, future, but especially looking back to a while back, childhood and teenage years and such. All right, I'm running way too long because now I'm blathering like a moron. Well, anyway, hope you dig it. Bye.